Having a great day, great week, wherever you are and whatever day it is for you. It is Friday on the podcast, so we're bringing that Good Friday energy to you. And this is going to be for all you guys out there who are interested in mobile home parks. You know, that is one of my favorite asset classes. It's what I really like to buy as well. And we have Tim Woodbridge with us from WCG Investments. He does mobile home parks too, so he's here to talk shop. He's opening his first fund as well, so it'll be cool to hear kind of how that experience has gone for him. Tim is as a repeat guest. I love having repeat guests on the show. If you guys have heard his first episode, this will be going a layer deeper into his story. So, Tim, I'm excited to jump into this. Thanks for hopping on.
Gabe, thanks for having me on again, man. Good to see you.
Absolutely. We're keeping with the same structure. So let's take it back to the beginning of your story in real estate and just refresh people on how you got here.
Yeah, it's the same story as so many people. I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. I was excited about that. I took action. I read more. I got in, listened to podcasts. I got in real estate, local RIAs, free RIAs and whatnot. And Yeah, I heard about mobile home parks on Bigger Pockets when Brandon was talking to Frank Rolfe, and I said, I didn't even know you could buy that. And I went and I took action. I took very imperfect action. I don't even think I underwrote it. I mean, well, I underwrote it super, super rudimentary, like. Um, but yeah,
As someone who buying their
that,
first asset would.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And Yeah, man. I mean, the first eventually led to the second and then the third, and now we own 25, a little over
Wow.
1,100 units.
Nice, man. Congratulations. So yeah,
Thank you.
let's go into that. I mean, mobile home parks, I love that asset class. It's for a number of reasons. Tell us why MHP for you specifically, or like what brought you into that world?
Yeah, so, Frank was talking about you got sticky tenants, you got low expense ratios. It's I think he said it's relatively hands off if you have an all tenant owned home. Clearly, we both know that that's not necessarily the case.
If you have a good
But
manager, it's relatively, but if you don't have a great manager, it is not hands off at all. That's for sure.
yeah, exactly, exactly. Um, and not to say Frank was wrong at all, just to say it's deeper than that. But so yeah, I like that. I was excited by it, and it was different than the norm. It was a little weird, a little bit different. And I like that. I resonated with it. Um, Add that to the fact that, like, when my mom and dad divorced when I was 10, my mom went and bought a beat up double wide uh, in a park that she, paid to have like fixed up. And I spent a lot of my teenage life in that park. And yeah, man. I just I liked it and I liked the possibility. And it's interesting. The more I do it, the more I like the different aspects to it. I mean, I like today how it's one of the only non-subsidized affordable housing things out there for people. I like how you know when the economy gets worse and people have to downsize, people are coming to us, and it's low, it's slow, it cash flows well, it's great for our investors, it's great for us, and it is great for us to be able to make a little bit of a difference. If you're putting, like we have recently in the last 6 months, we put new roads in, blacktop roads, asphalt roads for what used to be dirt roads. And that's like a meaningful difference that we can make in the lives of people. And it's just such a good asset class, man.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. And so when did you start buying again? When did you first buy your first mobile home park?
December of 2019.
2019. Nice. So it's been what? This is 20 or yeah. So it's been about, what is that? Five? I can't do the math.
A
It's
little over
been
6 years
six
since I
years.
bought my first one.
Nice. So since you got started, it's not early. I don't have excuse for not doing math, but anyways, since you got started, since you went, 2019 till 2026, that trajectory, there's been a lot that's changed in mobile home parks themselves. I'm sure when you're buying that first deal, you were getting them. I don't want to put a number on it, but my first park I bought, I think it was 500,000. It was cheap. And there's been a lot more entrance into the space itself. So how have you seen mobile home park investing, running mobile home parks? How have you seen that space change since you bought that first one in 2019?
Yeah, man. I mean, my first one was 250,000 for 36 lots. But I mean, if you're going on a cap rate basis, it wasn't a great deal. Because there was only 10 it was, 10 uh tenant owned home people paying out of 36, and lot rent was like 125 bucks. And so
Mm,
like
wow,
people who
that's
were
low.
more experienced than me were like, that's a bad deal. Don't buy it. Don't buy it. And I said, I, like it freaked me out. I thought, okay, am I buying a bad deal? Am I going to end up upside down or whatever? But I bought it, and I learned that, you know, uh, like I knew in commercial real estate you can, improve occupancy, so improve your gross income, and decrease net. You can improve the value of something just, by increasing the occupancy in this one. And so what I did, I brought 7 homes in, um, and it more than doubled what we paid for. When we, refied after a year, we got all our money back and everything, and then, like, the value went, to 570 at that point, so it was like that magic thing. But back
Wow,
to
so
your
you
question.
did infill on your first deal. That's awesome. I mean, I don't want to get into your story. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't want to derail you, but I am interested in that because infill, in my eyes, is the only strategy that works now because all those deals that you can just pick up for from mom and pops are gone, and now infill is the strategy. And you did that on your first one. So tell me about that process. How did it work? How'd you get the deal, or how'd you find the deals? Were you buying new? All that stuff.
Yeah, so I bought, let's see, so it was COVID, right? And so COVID came, and Legacy Housing, mobile homes, put out an email that said, we'll finance 100% of these homes to people, to park owners who have vacancy. And, I bought that park, and I said to myself, I have to fill this up. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I have to. So I was keeping an eye on things. And so when they said they'll finance 100% of the homes, you just have to, pay for setup. I said, yes, let's do it. I didn't know how to do setup. I didn't know anything. And so I knew people who had done that though. So I got connections. I called the company. I had them come out and do it. It was way more than I thought it was going to be. And compared to today, it's cheap, but yeah, it was just a process of getting it figured out how we can do that. And so like a lot of my own out of pocket money went into to getting these homes set up. A lot of money put on the credit cards, and it was just figuring out the process. What do we need to do to get this done? What do we need to do to get permits pulled from the county? And yeah, it's not that it was hard, it's just a lot of little steps. Um, and so, yeah, man, got it figured out. Got people into the homes, and again, so all of a sudden, the value of the park went from, ooh, I think it was 355 at close per appraisal to 570 a year later. Um, and that's when I was like, man, commercial real estate, that's magic.
Yeah, and you're right. I like that you said it's not that it's hard, it's just that there are a lot of small steps. And I feel like that is so true and something that really needs to be stressed for anybody looking to get into not even only mobile home parks, but just any, real estate asset class. It's not rocket science. It's not hard to do. It's not like you need to be a genius to do it. It's just you have to do it and you have to figure out the steps. And you're going to be doing things that you don't know how to do for the first time, and you're going to figure it out, and then you're gonna do it again and again and again, and eventually you'll get really good at it. You'll create processes around it, and it'll be a lot easier. So from that first deal that you did the infill, you got connected. Did you say the Century 21, or what was the program that you used to infill?
Legacy. It was just through Legacy Homes. They financed them in-house.
Oh, nice. That's cool. So since that first deal or that first experience that you had, how has your investing strategy changed?
Oh man, it's like crazy. First of all, we don't do big infill projects because there's too much of things that are out of our control. Like I if you remember in 22, like around then, lumber prices shot up. And so I bought six more of those same legacy homes, same exact model in 22. And they went from $35,000 for dealer price to 53,000 roughly for dealer price. And it was the same exact model. So it's just, I don't like, we don't put investor capital in something that has so much of a question mark in it. So like our business plans now is light infill, you know, light management, making things a little bit better, managing it better because we have really strong in-house operations. Um, but really, the biggest change from then to today is I have an amazing team that, I'm not at all the parks. I'm not making all the calls. It's like, we got in-house management team, we've got local community managers, I've got two amazing operations people on my team. My partner Matthias, who was the COO of his last company before he left to uh, be in WCG. um, and then now we have a Rockstar asset manager who used to work for Open Door Capital and is now working with us and bringing all the stuff that he developed for ODC and like all that kind of background. And so like we are very cognizant right now that it's not the time where like, everyone's doing amazingly. It's times when there's probably more and more a general market crunch. And so the things that are going to separate people, companies that do well and companies that don't do well is the operations. So we are doubling down on making sure we have solid operations. So like if there's any storm, we want to be able to weather that. We don't want to lose sleep.
Nice. Yeah, and like you said, I mean, the team is what really makes it work. So let's reflect on that just a second. 2019, you started. It was just you. You bought that home. Since then, you've grown your team. What have been the kind of the inflection points that you found that had the biggest impact on your operations? Specific roles, et cetera, that you or even processes that you felt like once you got them in place, it night and day between what happened before and then.
Totally, totally. So like before I started working with Matthias, like I already was putting in place the in-house property management. So it's like it wasn't nearly what it is today, but the idea was there. Make sure that we were able to really have control over day-to-day stuff. I had in the meantime, I had tried using third-party property management for parks and
Mm,
it just didn't
yeah.
work, man. No one
Yeah.
cared,
It
and
doesn't
that's
work for
okay.
anything, I'll tell you that much.
No,
Third party
not
is just,
really.
it's not the way to go.
Yeah. So so, I was already developing that, but then, along came Matthias and we knew each other from a mastermind. And then we worked together on one deal that someone brought us both into. And then he hit me up and he's like, hey, I know you're into mobile home parks. There's one up in a deal up in Spartanburg, South Carolina. I think it's good. And I was like, I don't know. I don't think, I think they want too much for it. And he underwrote it and showed me why it's good. And from there, we've eight different deals together. Now we're have a overarching company and all that stuff. But that was probably the biggest inflection point because he's so good at what I'm not good at,
Mhm.
and vice versa. And so we just took it and Gino Wickman wrote Rocket Fuel, and I 100% think that's us. So,
Mhm.
I'm high level visionary. He is in the trenches integrator and like able to take the ideas and make really good systems and processes. So, we started working together, and he implemented EOS, and so we've got really good like weekly meetings to like track things and make sure things are actually getting done. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean that's
It's it's
he's
funny you
the
mentioned that
first one.
because you're actually the the third episode in a row that has mentioned the EOS system as being one of the pivotal elements that kind of brought them to where they are today. So if any of you guys out there are listening to these episodes in a row and you've seen that same trend, I think now's the time to actually jump in and read that book and get on the systems because there's something to it. It seems like people are using it well. Um, I do
Yeah.
want to move us on because we've already passed the 15-minute mark. I wanted to talk about your fund. This is the first time you're raising a fund. It's your first experience in it. Tell us a little bit about how that's gone. What are the things that kind of jumped out to you that you didn't realize before getting into it? Just tell us about the entire fund process.
Yeah, yeah. So, we've syndicated 7 or so deals, 8 deals, something like that. So like we're not new to raising money. Um, but after researching, we realized that the fund model, first of all, it enables us to always be raising, always be talking with people, which also, we're doing ads, we're making sure to have consistent volume of potential investor calls. Um, but like the biggest thing is it's safer for our investors to instead of like, okay, one deal, if my one deal goes down, their money's at risk. And that, thank God, it hasn't happened, but there's always that potential. We'd be doing our investors a disservice if we weren't at least thinking about that. Now it's like, okay, if I have a fund and there's 5 deals in this fund and one deal goes a little sideways, well, that's not, we can write it from another deal doing a little bit better. So it's really just, okay, how do we continue to serve our investors in the best way possible? And we listen to enough people and enough investors, and this is what we've decided to do. And it's not that hard. It's just same as a syndication. When you talk to attorneys who are good at it, and they
Yeah.
give you a big list of questions to answer. So me and Matthias and our partner Vinny, who's investor relations, answered all those questions. And so yeah, we're still in the process of getting it open to only accredited investors, but that's our next move. Should be, I'd imagine, hopefully by the end of this month we'll have that open.
Nice. So that's perfect timing. That's probably when this will go live. Yeah, I
Ah,
the fun model always has it makes sense to me and why you'd want to do it. My and this is just my ignorance on how it works. The accounting side sounds more difficult, and I don't understand. With a syndication, you have a specific number of people that have invested in this specific asset. However the asset performs is how their money performs. With a fund, you have multiple assets in one fund, and I feel like the accounting, calculating your returns and all that stuff would be difficult. Do you have any insight there that maybe I'm just being a dunce on and not realizing, or how does that work?
it likely will be more complicated. And I mean, we use cash flow portal. Vinny, our investor relations partner, is in charge of that. So yes, it will likely be a little bit more work for him. And also, so we are currently looking for a fractional CFO right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, there'll definitely be uh, it'll be more difficult, but that's just kind of what we're expecting. Like we don't run away from difficult if it's going to be an easier thing.
Yeah. Well, and like we were talking about earlier, nothing's rocket science. You just got to figure it out and just step through the steps, do it one at a time, and eventually you'll figure it out. All right. Well, that does run it down. We are at the 20-minute mark, so it's time to jump into the question round. Are you ready?
Yes, let's
All
do
right.
it.
It starts with education. It could be any form, could be a book you've read, a movie you've seen, conference you've gone to, mentorship program you've been a part of. I just need two recommendations, one for general life wisdom and then one for real estate.
Okay. Since it can be like a mastermind, check out Ryan Naris and Michael Panzolini. Check out their mastermind for mobile home parks. They know their stuff. Matthias and I were part of that at the beginning of last year, and we got some really, really good insight for us specifically where we are in our business and how we can do better. And we've been using that, and it's really been going good.
Nice. And what is
Um,
their what's their mastermind called? You mentioned, or do they have a name for it? Is it just those two guys?
Bro, I don't know. So you can find Ryan Naris. He's got the MHP IRL podcast. Um, they both have the Facebook group. It's Mobile Home Park something, Mobile Home Park Mastermind. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah,
Ryan Naris and Michael Panzolini, they're
yeah.
both freaking rock stars in this space.
All right, sounds good. All right, next question is for your younger self. Let's go back to the Tim who was just looking at that first deal back in 2019. Go back to him, look him in the eye, give him one piece of advice moving forward.
Um, Ask someone for advice on due diligence and then do that.
Ooh, wow. I that's nobody's recommended that. That is really good advice. I mean, so many times on this podcast, we've talked about how, next question on one of these questions I'll ask is, something that you ran into that caused you pain and what lessons you learned from it. Usually those lessons have to do with skipping steps in their due diligence. And so that is really good advice to go back to your younger self and learn how to do due diligence better. That is where you make your money, is buying the deal. And so making sure you check off every single box when you're going through and buying a deal is super important. So moving us on, this is about the U.S. It's a big place. There is a lot of opportunity out there. Give me the single metro you're most excited about investing in today.
Don't ask for a single metro. So we buy in the southeast United States. So the Carolinas, Georgia, Alabama, um, looking at Florida because that's where Matthias lives now, and there's some really good deals there. But the fundamentals in the Southeast U.S., I mean, you don't have rent control, so like as long as you're not a jerk and like you go in and try and jack up prices, as long as you go slow and steady, you can really do things well. They're pretty, what we've found, pretty um, landlord fair. I think a lot of people say landlord friendly. I don't think it's friendly. I think it's more fair. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
if you haven't paid your rent, you're probably going to lose your eviction, and as it should be. Um, so yeah, we have, let's see, we have a lot in Sumter, South Carolina. We have a decent amount in Albany, Georgia, and we're really looking at like these secondary markets and then just buying a lot there and just focusing in these different hubs.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Actually, this is not really related, but it was interesting. I saw a an infographic yesterday and it kind of it mapped out the population of the US in a very unique way, but it just kind of it showed you visually how many more people are on the East Coast versus the middle of the US and the West Coast. It's just packed over there, and so it's I don't know, it's kind of an eye opener for me to see how many people are over there near you guys. Um, Anyways, moving on to the next question. This is about lessons learned. Not every deal we get into goes the way we expect it. In fact, pretty much every single time something's going to go wrong, and that's when we get to learn a lesson. So, what was a deal that went a little bit sideways for you, and then what was the lesson you pulled from it?
Yeah, so I mean, I still have this deal and it's a heavy, heavy infill
Hmm.
deal. And we talked about infill earlier, and it's not that it's hard, but it's difficult in that it's a lot of like stuff, you gotta just keep at it and keep at it and keep at it. So like because of all the potential, all the moving pieces and the potential for issues. And that's kind of why we're not doing any heavy infill things. Like sure, there's people who would do it and do it really well and make a killing, but that's just not our specialty. We like more low and slow. We don't need that giant upside at the end if it makes it so there's potential risk in between. So yeah, not going crazy with the infill, and not buying deals that need all this infill to work.
Well, on that note, do you when you do buy light infill, do you infill with new, or do you guys buy old and rehab them?
New, new. I I've had too many bad with used homes. Gosh, I had one guy rip us off for like close to 20 grand. Um, and then a lot of like it's just not worth it. It doesn't make sense. You can get something financed through Vanderbilt, and buy a new home from them. Like why? I don't know. I used to do things where it's like I want to save every penny, and like so buying used makes sense, but it's not reliable, and there's a different class of people generally. This isn't I'm not talking crap on everyone, but there's enough people that I've met in the used mobile home space that makes it really turns me off from doing it anymore. So I like going just direct to factories.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm with you there. Yeah. We've run into our own share of issues there, so I totally get it. But on that side, it is nice. I just like rehabbing things, and I used to flip houses, and I don't do it anymore. But I just like the process, and for some reason, even if it's hard, I just keep pounding my head against the wall. I like seeing that end result, but I'm with you. It is definitely hard, and sometimes not worth the headache. All right. On the other side of that, sometimes you get into a deal and everything seems to go right, and that one stands out in your mind as your favorite. So, what deal was that for you?
Yeah, I love our Oklahoma City deal. We bought it 75 pads, 74 occupied with tenant-owned homes. It was managed by the owner, and I remember so during like the taking the deal down, and I'm the acquisitions lead. So like at one point, the guy we were running out of time, and he wanted to just drop the deal. So I had to like call him and be like, okay, let's figure this out. What do you want? And so I remember I actually had to give him a couple hundred more $1,000, because he was honestly going to drop it. We are going to lose EMD, all that stuff. Anyway, so I called him, and he's like, hold on, I'm at the park. Let me get in the shade. It's Oklahoma City. It's summertime. It's really hot. I need to get in the shade. And it's like this guy's 80 and he's going out and doing stuff. So not saying that he's doing it poorly, but just saying we're doing it better. And we have all these systems and processes in place to do it better. But anyway, I love this deal. We've got a really, really, really great community manager who we made a partner in the deal. Um, and yeah, I mean, it's just a really, really well-run park. We went up a little bit on the rent, but it's still the nicest park in the area and below all the other crappier parks in the area in terms of lot rent. And we treat people well. We had like an unexpected capex thing. We had to put like I think like 50 grand into to make it, just to for safety and to make it keep it a good place to live. But it's such a nice park, um, and it's producing such great like consistent returns, and that's what I like. We don't need again, we don't need the oh man, this one has like so much, everyone's going to make millions and millions. We need more consistent returns on things, low and slow. So give me a 16 to 20% IRR that is low and slow any day.
Yeah. Yeah. The less headache, the better. That is a good strategy to pursue for sure. All right, that leads us to the second to last question. This is a new question we've been asking. It's about AI. AI is here to stay, and I'm a huge proponent of it. So I like to ask guests, how are you using AI in your business, and how you recommend people do the same?
Yeah, good question. So we haven't done it yet, but we are working on a AI answering service,
Oh
just
yeah,
because there's so much bandwidth that we can save for our, back office in-house property management company. Um, and then, so we went from Buildium to Rent Manager. And so we started Rent Manager January 1st. And so there's a couple things, we're looking at in the pipeline um, that works directly with Rent Manager in that way. Haven't implemented them yet, but are like once we're solid with Rent Manager, then we'll bring more different possibilities in. Rent Manager is cool because
I'm
it has a ton of like things where you can automate them anyway. So yeah, we're
I'm
we're big
curious.
proponents of that.
It's funny you mentioned that. I'm curious why, and we're gonna get off on a tangent here for a second, guys. But I'm curious why you made that change. I use Appfolio, Buildium, ESS, Storage. I've used all these different CRMs, but I keep hearing people, especially in the MH space, say tout how awesome Rent Manager is. Why do you feel? Why do you like that, especially over Buildium? Because I do use that. Why do you like that over Buildium?
Okay, so I think we have to. So I even I like iPhones because they're simple. It's like very user friendly, and so I like Buildium because of that.
Yeah,
Um, Matthias and like he loves all the like powerful
he likes
back end,
Windows
and I
or
mean
Linux.
yeah, 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 and it's Linux exactly. Um, so like I like that. I like how powerful the back end is. I like how powerful the reporting is going to be. If it was just up to me, though, I wouldn't set it up because it's complicated. There's a lot
Mhm.
to it. But Matthias and Christoph are taking the lead with really getting Rent Manager it's, so we can really utilize that powerful back
Back
end
end, yeah,
of Rent Manager. And
yeah,
so like that's it, man. Like it's helping us to elevate to the next level in our operations and really like get to the bottom of that really high level and also detailed asset management. So like we were talk had a meeting the other day where Christoph was like, okay, based on all the stuff like that I'm seeing in his asset management software, he's like, what about like why are we paying this much for utilities? And so it's like,
mhm,
okay, we can get down to the brass tacks of it, of increasing revenue and decreasing expenses through like just the powerful software. So I love the end result of it.
yeah. Yeah, and that is what I've heard about Rent Manager. It's just a lot more detailed, and you can provide a lot more things. And actually, one small thing that Buildium doesn't have, Appfolio doesn't have. The only other CRM that I've used is ESS. But just a physical layout of the building in a or of the structure, the asset in kind of a map format, so you can see the different units physically from the top down. I know Rent Manager has that, and I wish every single property management software had that, because I just like to be able to see it top down and see everything visually right there in front of me. Anyways, we'll get off of that side, and we'll go to the very last question. This is for listeners. You've given us a lot to think about. I'm sure people want to reach out, get in contact with you. This is a two-parter. Where can they find you, and then what can they expect when they reach out?
Yeah, so any potential investors, um, you can find us at wcginvestments.com. Um, for anyone who wants to learn about mobile home parks, you think that, hey, I might be interested in that, hit me up on Facebook, hit me up on Instagram, tim.woodbridge on Instagram, tim.woodbridge54, I think, on Facebook. I'm easy to find. I'm definitely find joy in giving back to others. So like, um, I presented on capital raising this past weekend. Um, and to all these people who are a little bit newer. And, I'm all about helping me 3 to 5 years ago because I know like that would have that would have been such a game changer. So I think, anyone who has any little bit of success has a more responsibility to help others with that.
Nice. Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And it's so it is. I didn't get a mentor when I first started, and I wish I had, because it would cut the time down just in even more than a half. It would cut it into, you'd only have to do 25% of what you actually, because you got to learn from their, learn from their mistakes, learn from their processes. So I love to hear that. I will put that contact info in the show notes. So if you guys want to reach out to Tim, all you got to do is click the little more in the description. It'll pull down that full description, and in there you can find his links. All right, man, that wraps it up. Thank you very much for hopping on the show.
Thank you so much, Gabe. Appreciate you, man.
Absolutely. For everybody who's with us today, thank you guys for showing up. You are the reason we do this. So if you guys have any questions, reach out to me, Gabe, at therealestateinvestingclub.com. If you guys want to support the show, just leave us a review, comment, anything like that. Other than that, I hope you guys have a great week. Keep rocking real estate, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.